Hello, welcome back. I'm Scott. This is Jailene. We're Internet Safety Concepts, and we're here for another video about some important information to keep us all safe. I think it's fair to say that our first two episodes were pretty serious topics, cyberbullying and sexting. And if you haven't had a chance to go watch them, I highly recommend you go back through our channel and take a look at those because they were two very important topics we talked about when it comes to being safe. But one of the things that we talked about during those episodes was something that we referred to as a support system. And we wanted to talk a little bit about that today and why we feel that's so important when it comes to being safe, not just online, but in general, having a good support system. So to get started, we're just going to talk a little bit about why it's important to us. And I got to be honest, and Jailene doesn't know I'm going to say this right now, but when you and I were talking about presentations a long time ago, you changed the way I approach support systems. Because for me, growing up, support system was my very close friends and my family. That was my support system.
Okay.
And I always referred to support system for kids as parents. And you were the one that kind of said to me, it's not always the case. So I learned so much from talking to you about this that I changed my teaching approach because I realized that what worked for me might not work for everybody, especially here in 2020 because times have changed since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So that's why I think this episode and the topic we're tackling today is so important because it can impact our lives in such a positive way. So to get started, why don't you tell us, what is your opinion on what is a support system? We talk about it all the time. What is it?
It's a group of people that protect you, love you, and ultimately support you. So for me, growing up, I have a very unique situation because my father isn't in the picture, but I have 4 uncles, I have a grandfather, I have a mother, I have lots of aunts and lots of cousins, my grandmother. So all of those people, took me under their wing when my father left, and they supported me. They helped me and held my hand through the hard times, and they supported me through the good times also.
Okay. And was that important to you?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
is, yeah.
I know your family, and it is one of the tightest knit families that I've ever met, and you guys consider me family sometimes, and it's an honor to be part of that. But I even consider your family part of my support system now. As I've gotten older, I've learned that it's not just 1 or 2 people.
Correct.
It could be a resources. It could be a whole community. So I think one of the things that we put up on another social media site, we put up a video about support systems.
Yeah.
And someone left a comment on the bottom that said, I don't trust anybody, I don't have a support system, which I kind of felt for because
Right.
that's unfortunate. But I think if we open our eyes, we all have some form of support system.
Yeah.
So for kids in your generation, besides just family, can you give them some examples of who you think might be a support system for them?
It could be a family friend. So like in my case, I have you and Bonnie and Kathy and multiple other people as my support system. So it could be a family friend. It could be your teacher, your counselor, your therapist, a doctor. It could literally be anybody. Whoever you have bonded with during the hard times or even the good times, or whoever's been there to be a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on, that's the person.
Okay. So it doesn't even have to be a relative.
No.
I mean, I know one of your uncles, I was his dare officer, and now we're very good friends.
Yeah.
And I know through the years we've formed a support system for each other because now we're very good friends.
Right.
So it's no longer just an adult talking to a child, it's peers talking to each other. And as you're saying that, I kind of flashed back a little bit to my childhood, and I thought about my 2 best friends, their families, how maybe I never considered them family then, but boy, they were such an influence and a support system to me now that growing up, they were always there to help listen, yell, scream, whatever the case may be. And I think it's so important that we have that.
Right.
And there's a value to it. And although it might not be your best friend, it might not be your best friend's parents, it might be someone you least suspect at your school. It could be a guidance counselor, it could be a support system person there, a therapist, whoever it is. The challenge, though, is breaching that gap to say, who can I talk to? And that's why I think for our area of internet safety and being safe, support systems have such a value. Yes. I have my opinion on why for internet safety we have such a value, but can you share why do you think it's so important to have a support system of people in our world when it comes to internet safety?
I think because, in our previous video, we talked about the consequences of picture sharing and the consequences of cyberbullying. So if you don't have anyone to turn to when you need help, or you don't have anyone to turn to when things have gone wrong on the internet, then, you're in for a lot of trouble. Like, you could, the rumor mill could continue to spin if you don't have a support system to come in and say, okay, how about you go in this direction, or how about you do this next. If you don't have a outsider looking in to the situation, it could be very bad.
Okay. I also, at least when I talk to kids about a support system when it comes to internet safety, is we're so impulsive when we do things online.
Yeah.
And so many kids have come to me going, I wish I didn't. One of the things I tell students is, okay, before you do something, maybe get a second opinion. Your
Right.
support system can also be your peers, the ones that pick you up when you need to. Maybe they don't have all the answers because they're experiencing some of the same problems you're going through. But the moral and emotional support of having someone in your life where you could say, hey, should I send this picture? Or this person said a really mean comment. What do
Yeah.
you think? Just the conversation alone with people that we trust, I think, is so important, and it could prevent things from happening instead of reacting to them.
Right.
For me, as an adult, I might not have the cyberbullying and the picture sharing issues, but my support system is everything to me, because we all have the good days, and I want to share them with those. But we also have those bad days, and we also have the days where I just don't know. We don't have all the answers.
Correct.
So it's so important to know, hey, you know what, if right now, Jailene, you are my support system. When I have something online that I just might not understand,
Yeah.
or a new technology, you're one of the first I call. You know that. Hey, let's work together. And I think that's what we have to start to realize, is support systems work together. And one of the challenges I've had with talking to young people, when I talk about support systems, the way I word it is always find the adult you trust and simply get a second opinion on what you're thinking. But that word snitch comes back into play.
Yeah.
For me, support systems is not about getting someone into trouble. That's the least of my concerns. A support system helps someone who needs help and is there for the good and bad. Am I way off on that? Is
No.
there a different way of looking at it?
No, I think you're like pretty spot on. So, for example, with my siblings, me being the oldest, or even John, when I was younger, my brother would like help me facilitate a conversation with my mom. When I was too scared to say something, well, then John would go first and say, okay, Jailene is going to come in and say a few things, but you have to be nice. You have to listen first. So he would kind of like mediate the situation. And your support system, if they don't have all the answers, and if they are your same age and, a young person who you need to turn to an adult for, I do that with my little sisters. I go in first and I say, listen, they have something that they want to tell you, but you have to listen first. You have to try not to react. And then the girls will come in and they'll sit down and say, okay, I can't say it. Can you say it? Your support system is supposed to be there for you.
Okay.
So even if they don't have all the answers, they're supposed to help you get the answers.
Now, just so we literally sat down, poured a cup of coffee, and we hit record and we start talking. That's how we do this. And it's so funny you say that, because one of the things that I want our support systems to do is talk now before the problems happen. Lay down what you did. Jonathan goes in for you and says, sis is coming in to talk to you for a second. Here we go. If we talk about these things ahead of time, hey, if there's ever a problem, come see me. That first initial step might not be that big of a deal.
Right.
It might be something you feel comfortable with. Now, as someone and you've discussed some of your things in the past on other videos, if you had the conversation with your support system ahead of time, would that have helped? If someone who you were going to talk to said, hey, if you ever need me, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, come see me, we'll work through it. Could that help?
Yeah, I mean, it did. It did help.
Okay.
I had, my aunts and my uncles, my siblings come up to me and say, let's fix this.
Okay.
Or let's fix it before, like you said, before it becomes a lifetime issue, before it becomes bigger than what it is.
Okay. And so many parents and students have said that is such a difficult conversation to start.
Yeah.
So what we've done for you is this. If you go to our website, you go onto the website under the family page, internetsafetyconcepts.com, and our family page. I have contracts, as you can see here. What this contract does is it starts that conversation before you need it. It's a whole list of concerns that the student might have, the teenager might have, and on the flip side is the concern that the parents have. And then we all make a promise to each other, hey, you know what, it's not going to be perfect. We're not going to agree, but safety is number one. We're going to sign that contract, and I've even left a couple blanks for you where you can fill in things you want on your own. One of the things you might say is, hey, if you don't feel comfortable starting this, send me a text message first. I'm all for using technology in a positive way.
Yep.
And one of the ways we can do that is if, hey, if you don't feel comfortable breaching that subject of let's talk, hey, mom, hey, dad, hey, teacher, hey, cousin, can we have a conversation? It's very important. That might just take a little of the stress off. And we emphasize talking about it ahead of time so much because we've both seen the good and the bad from that, from talking ahead of time and talking it out. We've also seen the bad when things aren't done.
Yeah.
And we don't want to see anybody go through that. So as we go through this, have the conversation, talk about it, get involved. Matter of fact, you can support each other simply by just being positive. I think we can create our own support systems. If you have someone in school that maybe just you think doesn't have the support system, send them a quick text. Hey, are you okay? Hey, you want to talk? Here's my number. We don't have to wait for people to come to us. We can start to be that hero and start our own support system. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And I mean, you see here, there's examples. There's so many positive things that we do. We've just got to start to really acknowledge it, get involved with it, and start to use the support systems. So as we wrap up, we both believe that support systems are pretty important. Why do you think? What's the one most important thing that you feel about having a support system in your life would help? Or what's the most important thing to it?
I guess I should start off by saying that my support system saved my life. So when they say that, you know, I'm here for you anytime, it doesn't matter, we'll work through it, they mean it. They really do.
And I think on the hindsight, if we say that, we've got to mean it too, because those words are important and they're powerful. And I think back to when I was a teenager. We're not going to date myself here, Jailene, but when I was a teenager, things were different. But man, I can count how many of my friends that I could still to this day call up and say, man, I need you. And they'd be there. And because we built that foundation of friendship and honesty and trust, having those people in your lives are so important. So if you don't know who it is, kids, teenagers, parents, start thinking about it now. Before you need them, figure it out. If you haven't talked to your support system in a while, reach out to them. Just say, hey, make a connection. Let's have a cup of coffee. Let's get together. But also open up that door for your kids to make sure that they know they can come to you with any situation. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. She's Jailene. I'm Scott. We're Internet Safety Concepts. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned and subscribe for future episodes. Thank you for your time. Be safe.